Okay. So we will begin by looking at, as usual, what we covered yesterday or in our previous session. So we were able to create PostGIS databases. We were also able to import spatial data into PostGIS. We created PostGIS data stores in GeoServer. We were also able to import raster data into PostGIS. And then we demonstrated the QGIS and PostGIS interoperability using various plugins well within QGIS. So our agenda today is looking at Google Earth, how we can work with Google Earth. And among the items in our agenda is an overview of the Google Earth. What is Google Earth? And then we will do an installation of Google Earth software. And then we will explore the user interface. Then after exploring the user interface, we are going to create some data in Google Earth, some spatial data in Google Earth. And then we will proceed with importing data from an external point place. We're going to import it into Google Earth. And then we are going to do some exportation of data from Google Earth. Yeah, so basically these are the tasks that we are going to do. And among the user interface and creating the data, we have some sub tasks and some practical tasks that we are going to do together. So let's look at what is Google Earth. And you can describe it as a geospatial tool that is used for a variety of educational and research purposes. It is used, initially this software was not free. I think it used to go for around $400. Then Google decided to put it out there to become an open source tool. So that's why it's free to use since as of 2015. But before then it was proprietary. So we have applications. Where is Google Earth used in? It is used in climate analysis, change detection studies, wherever things have changed. It's also used in 3D modeling of 3D buildings, 3D features, the relief or the undulation of the land, the way the Earth has mountains, valleys, and what have you. So they can be well represented in Google Earth, whereby we introduce the heights. From our previous descriptions, we talked about 3D, whereby we say that 3D has an additional parameter, which is from the XY we have the Z, or the height. So it is also a visualization tool. And one example is if you've been looking at either the global news or the local news, at times when they are explaining something that is occurring somewhere, could be a headline. There's some calamity that is occurring somewhere, let's say in northern Kenya, or, in Somalia or somewhere else. They normally more often than not use this Google Earth to kind of visualize showing the location in which a certain occurrence is, it's going on. Even if you look at the news on the TV, you usually see the weather news. The weather news at times they normally use the Google Earth to, which keeps on moving, showing a location and showing how the weather will be probably in the next day, if it is maybe the evening news or something like that. So these are just some of the examples of the uses of Google Earth. And then it supports interoperability with other softwares. For example, QGIS through a data exchange format, well known as KML, or it's known as the Google KML, standing for Keyhole Markup Language, and the KMZ. So the KMZ is a zipped KML. It consists of many KMLs that are bundled together. Okay. So So we are going to begin with installing our Google Earth. And the first step that we will take will be navigating to Google Earth's download page. We are going to do that together. And then we are going to download our Google Earth desktop installer. It's a small installer. Basically, it is a web installer, so that's why it's small. When you run it, if you have ever installed Google Chrome browser, it uses a similar kind of an installation method, whereby after we download and run it, it will install. It will pull some files from the internet and then install in the computer after running the setup. And then we'll complete our installation. Okay. So this is the download page, screenshot of the download page. So this is how it looks like. And you will notice some buttons here. We have the Google Earth on web, Google Earth on mobile, and Google Earth Pro on desktop. So I will pause the slides here and we'll, open the browser so that you can download our Google Earth. Okay, so let me share my entire screen. Okay, so I will open my browser. You can open whichever browser you're using, Edge, Chrome, Safari, or whichever. So I'll open my Mozilla Firefox. This is the browser that I'm using. And I will search for Google Earth. Yeah, so this is in the search engine, we have all these results. So click on the first one, this one that shows earth.google.com. Earth, or you can even type it if you're a fast typist. You can type earth.google.com in your address bar here. So I'll just click on it. Then it will open some page. So I think it's loading something. So maybe you can give it some time. Okay, this is a Google Earth on web, and I do not want us to use this. So let me just go back. Yeah, we have this link here that states download Google Earth Pro. So actually what you can do is just search Google Earth Pro in your search engine, okay? Or in your browser. So let me just open a new tab and search Google Earth Pro. Yeah, so we have this Google Earth Pro, and this is the result that it shows me. So there's this result that shows Earth versions, Google Earth. So let me just open the link. Yeah, and this is a link that it's google.com/earth/versions. So let me just allow me to add it in the charts briefly. Yeah, so that is the Google Earth. Yeah, so I've added the links in the chat. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. So we have this is a page. You have the overview, we have the resources up here, and we have Launch Earth. So we are interested in the Google Earth Pro on desktop, which is the third option here. This one. So I'll just click on it and it will scroll. I think it has moved to the page somewhere where we have this there's a laptop here icon with the Google Earth open, and this title, Create Maps with Advanced Tools. So there's a button here that is written Download Earth Pro on desktop. So this is the one that you're going to click. So if you click, it's going to show some pop-up kind of a window that says Download Earth Pro in Windows. So if you're using Linux or something else, I think it should highly likely detect, and it's going to show you download Google Earth Pro for Linux or Mac if you're using Mac. So for me, I'll uncheck this box. I do not want to be sending some statistics data to Google, so I'll uncheck this, and then I'll click accept and download. And you'll notice that there's some pop-up that has appeared here, and a message telling me thank you for downloading Google Earth Pro. So I had downloaded it initially, but I will begin downloading it again. It is very small. As you can see, it is 1.27 MB. So I'll just open it in the folder so that I can show you how it looks like. So this is how it looks like. Yeah, it is a very small file, 1.3, 1 point something MB, megabytes. So if you have downloaded it, I believe you're also able to download it in your end. If you're not able to download it, please let us let me know so that we can be able to move together. So you will just double click this installer, or you can right click and click open. So yeah, it will start downloading something. So I trust that you can see the installer, the Progress installer. So it has installed. So if it's dependent on your internet. So if you believe if you have a fast internet, then it's going to be able to download without any challenges. So after it has completed, it will show here that installation complete. Then we are going to close. So is there anyone who has a challenge in downloading it or installing it? Please let us, you can share on the chat so that you can be able to help. So if you have installed it, you should be able to see it on your desktop. So this is how mine looks like. If you cannot see it on your desktop, you can see it in your file. When you click on start, we have it here on the side, Google Earth Pro. You have Google Earth Pro. And then if you cannot also see it here, you can scroll within your applications and you'll notice that it should be here somewhere, Google Earth Pro. Alternatively, you can click start and search for it, Google Earth Pro, and then you're going to see it. So you can pin it, you can choose to pin it on your start menu or pin it on your taskbar so that it's for easy access. Okay. So I believe that we've been able to at least download and install our Google Earth Pro. So we're going to move back into our slide briefly. Allow me some seconds to switch to the slide. Okay. Yeah, so this is the download page as we had shown it earlier. Yeah, so as I've stated is that the versions, there's a web version, there's a mobile version for your mobile phone. So if you want to test it on your mobile device, your Android, you could test it. You can download it and see how it looks like. So in our case, we are working with Google Earth Desktop. And we have seen this page a few minutes or a few seconds earlier. This is for the web. That's how it looks like. And this one, it's supported in the Mac OS and the Google Earth, Google Android phones. Yeah, so yeah, we've been able to download our Google Earth Pro. In my case, I'm using Windows. And, the installer looks as it appears here. And then the one that we had launched initially was the Google Earth for web. That is the one that we had launched previously while we were trying to find the download page. Yeah, so this is how it looks like on the web. And I think later on we are going to look at, we are going to see it. Yeah, so basically the steps are you download, you run your installer. It's going to connect to the internet. So while you're installing, ensure that you have internet connection. It's going to say downloading. And there it will show the ETA, the estimated time of arrival, or the download time that is left. Then it's going to start installing, and then after installing, it should show you installation complete. And you will see the shortcuts that are shown on the bottom left part of the slide. The first one is the shortcut or the launcher from the desktop. And then the other one is the one that shows in the start menu. Yeah, so let us run our Google Earth application, and we see how it looks like. So we will go through the user interface as our first step. So let me share the screen so that you can continue seeing our right. So I believe you can see my desktop. This is my desktop. So I'll just run the Google Earth Pro from my desktop. Alternatively, I can run it from my start menu. So kindly confirm in the chat that you can see my Google Earth Pro. Yeah, so when you start it for the first time, I believe everyone can see the Google Earth Pro user interface. So when you run it for the first time, this is what it shows us, some startup tips. So these are just tips for showing you how to navigate and use different tools in your Google Earth. Then we have feedback. If you want to send some feedback, you can navigate to the street view. You can also find your house if you want to. You can search for different places. You can also view layers, and you can use the tours. Okay, you can create some tours and also record some tours from one place to another. Then you can also view locations from the past. You can view some history of the place that you want to view. So this is the user interface. Let's close this startup tip, and then we will look at. Let's begin with what we can see on our screens. So we have this area here that shows the globe, the world. So normally when you start Google Chrome by default, it is usually, this is how it looks like. It usually displays the continent of North America, which is at the center point in the USA. So this is how it normally looks like. So we have the globe, and we have something that looks like the space on the sides. and it is a depiction of the world or the earth, how it looks like. And then on the left, or rather on the right part, we have something that looks like a compass with an eye icon in the middle and 4 arrows around it. And this one is used to navigate. And then it's used to navigate and change the tilt of the north. So if you click on it and you just try to, you see, if you try to click at the N, there's this outer ring. If you try to click the N and you move it around, it changes the orientation of our map. Okay. So that is what we have. Then we also have the second circle here. While you place, if you place your cursor, it tells you there's a tooltip that appears written click to move around. So if you click one of the ends, without releasing, I'm clicking it and I'm moving around it, you see what happens. It just moves in circles. Then if you click one of the ends without releasing, then it starts moving. Okay, as you can see now, it's moving. So you can also do the same for the other direction, the opposite direction. So you can move it around. Okay, you can move it also through the poles, the North and the South Pole, the Arctic and the Antarctic. So that is it on the navigation. So you can also use, there's also another tool here that I think it's synonymous to what we've been seeing, like in the web map that we are looking at, Open Layers, some of our previous sessions, whereby you can zoom in and out. So if you click the plus, there's a plus button here, you are zooming in. So let's go to somewhere we are most probably familiar with. So somewhere here on Kenya. So you can click on the plus button and you can zoom in. Then if you click and you notice that something has appeared when we have zoomed into certain length. There's like a person or a humanoid icon or an emoji of sorts that has appeared here. Where I've placed my cursor, it's orange in color, and it's like it has been placed on top of some green circle or some green sphere, very small one here. So if you click on this one, but notice one thing, at some point it disappears. You see, at some point it disappears. So if I continue clicking the plus, it appears when you are at some zoom, some zoom level. So I'll click the minus icon, then it will zoom out. Okay. So that is on these navigation tools. Yeah, so feel free to, to play around with yours and see if you can be able to navigate through the map. Then we also have something else. You'll notice that when you move this map, we have some tools here. We have some text here that is titled Data in My Screen, SIO, NOAA, US Navy. Yeah, so this is like an attribution of this map. So it is attributed to the US, that organization, and Landsat, which is a satellite imagery they deal with satellite imagery. So there's also something else here. You'll notice that there's some text that are changing on the bottom right. We have our first item here, which is imagery date. And the imagery date for this area is December 14th, 2015. Okay. Then we have the latitude and longitude. And then we also have the elevation in feet. And we also have the high altitude in miles. Yeah, so they are using those units. However, I think you can be able to change these units. Like, since for us, we normally use metric units. Yeah, these are the imperial units. So yeah, so this is what we have. Whenever you change or whenever you move out or you zoom out, you'll notice that the high altitude and the elevation actually are really changing a lot. Okay. And you'll notice that there's something that also the Google Earth have created. You notice if I've zoomed into the ocean, this is the Indian Ocean, you will see that it looks like the water is kind of moving. It's like the water is in motion. Okay. Yeah, so that is something that you can also note. Yeah, so let's zoom out. So the other thing is that now let's move to our panel at the top. So the panel at the top has the tools, has various tools. This is a toolbar. And among your tools, you can be able to create marker. There's some yellow icon above here. I'm not sure if I can be able to change I want to change the size. Okay, I cannot be able to change the size. So yeah, this is how it looks like. Yeah, so we have the icons here. We have add place mark, we have add polygon as our second button, menu button. We have adding path or add path. We have add image overlay. We also have add, you can record a tour. Then you can also show historical imagery. And then you can show the sunlight across the landscape using the time slider to set the time of the day. So you can zoom into a particular area and set the time of the day, and it's going to show you, or it's going to show us how the sun is projected, the sun angle on the particular area. Then we also have this other one, which is switch between Earth, sky, and other planets. So you can also view other planets. And then you can also use a ruler it displays a ruler on top of the map that shows something, a measurement. You can use it to do your measurements. And you can also email this particular map. And then you can also print. You can print the map. Then you can save the image. You can save this image, like now you can save the image of whatever is being shown in the map area. And then you can also view this place in Google Maps. Okay, so that one also shows you some kind of an interoperability with something else, which is Google Maps. And we also have view in Google Earth on the web. So you can also use it to view the particular area in the Google Earth on the web. Yeah, so then we have the other items here on the left that we have not touched or we have not looked at. So on our left, we have the, it's like not a toolbar, it's like a panel. So this panel consists of a number of items. We have search, then we have places and layers by default. Those are the items that we have on this left panel. And the first option is search. So that is search. You can click to collapse it so that it shows the search. And there's a text here, get direction and history. Then we also have places. So you can, there's an area where you can create your places. You can also, create some place marks and place them there. You can also create some temporary folder. You can also add your places that you have created in your temporary place under your temporary places folder. Then you have the layers. So these layers, under layers, we have different types of layers. We have the primary database for Google Earth. Then we have the announcements, borders and labels, places, photos, roads and transportation, 3D buildings, weather, gallery, more and more. So you'll notice that the items that are checked at the moment are border and lakes, places, roads and transportation. And you'll also notice that the terrain is also checked. And you'll also notice that some items you can collapse them. Whenever you see these play button or this kind of an icon, it means that there's some things that you can collapse. And this is what we have. Under borders and labels, you have the borders and labels. Under places, we have photos, Google Map photos. And then we have also 3D buildings that are photorealistic. You can also enable 3D trees to view trees in 3D. Then you can also add weather. You can check for weather. You can check for gallery. Then you can also check for, under more, we have parks or recreation areas. And then we also have trails and trail junctions. Then you also have another one for US government. It shows city boundaries, postal code boundaries, and US school districts. Yeah, so that is how this is the layer, or the left panel, and the left panel contains all these options. Okay. So I will just collapse them. Yeah, so this is what we have. So that is it on the user interface. However, there's one thing that we have not checked, we have not looked at. We have not looked at the menu bar. So let's look at these menus. The Google Earth has 6 menus by default, and we have the help. So using the help button or using the help menu, you can be able to access different kinds of sub-menus. We have the help resources. We have the keyboard shortcuts, startup tips, launch repair tool, release notes. You can check the terms of service. You can check privacy, send feedback, and also about Google Earth. And then under the add, you can add a folder. You can add place mark. You can add a path. You can also add polygon, model, tour. Then you can also add photo, and you can also add an image overlay, and also a network link. Okay. Then let's look at the other menu, which is the tools. You can choose to enable the ruler. You can choose to enable the tables. You can enable GPS, and you can also enable the movie maker. You can also, there's also a menu called titled Regionate. And then you can also enter flight simulator mode, whereby you can see the Earth's simulator or Earth simulation. So you can also check, or you can also click on options to view different things or different configurations. And 3D view, caching, touring, navigation, and also general. Then you can also check the view. So we have you can enable or disable toolbar, sidebar. Actually, this is a sidebar, the one that you are looking at here. So if I enable, let me disable the sidebar, you notice that it disappears from here. So we no longer have the sidebar. We have the full map from left to right. It's occupying the full screen. But if we enable it, it appears back. Then you can also choose to enable or disable. Let's disable the toolbar. You'll notice that the menu items that were above here, the top part, they are no longer there. But you can also choose to enable the toolbar that will show the menu items there. Then you can, still under view, you can decide to put on the status bar or disable it. So let's disable the status bar. You notice that the latitude and the longitudes that you are seeing here on the bottom right, they are no longer there. So let's enable them back. We enable the status bar. So the status bar is the one that contains the date. Contains the date and the coordinates, the latitude and longitude. Then we can also look at the grid. You can enable grid or disable. So I've added the grid. So the grid is quite interesting. You see now we can see the grids. Remember what you were talking about, the prime meridian, which is the Greenwich meridian, which runs from north to south. And we have the Tropic of Cancer. And then we have the 0 latitude, which is the equator, which passes through somewhere. Let's actually look at, passes through Nanyuki town. Then we have the Tropic of Capricorn, which is on the south part. Yeah, so this is the grid. You can choose to enable it or disable it. Then you can also add an overview map. So an overview map is the map that you can see here on the side. You notice that when I zoom in or out, it keeps on, there's a red box that keeps on showing on the bottom right in some small map. So that is the overview map. Then you can add scale legend. Not sure where the scale legend is. Let me disable the grid. Let me disable the, I just return the grid. Let me disable the overview map. Yeah, so we can see, you notice that there is a scale. There's this item that we call it one of the map elements, an element of a map. And I believe that you probably went through them in some previous session when you are creating the map. The map has a scale. So the scale in this case is this line that appears on the bottom left that has, it's a line that has some ticks about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we also have 135 mi, 135 miles. Yeah, so that is on the scale. And you can choose to disable it. Then you have the atmosphere. You can, let's see if, what happens when we disable the atmosphere. Let me just zoom out a little bit. And under view, a disable atmosphere. So you'll notice that there was something that looked like a halo that is wrapping the globe. So right now my image is very sort of crystal clear somehow. So if I enable the atmosphere, there's a white, there's like some kind of a belt or a halo on the horizons. If you look at the horizon, we have a yellow kind of a yellow or whitish kind of a. So actually this is how the Earth looks like, in reality. There's the atmosphere, which is a blanket of some, gases that protect the Earth from the UV rays. So you can choose to enable or disable the atmosphere. So notice what happens when I disable. It comes back to clear and enable. It appears, a bit some blurry kind of or some shiny kind of a line that appears on the border of the horizon of the globe. Then you can also choose to enable the sun or disable it. So I've enabled the sun. And what happens is when I enable the sun, it shows the current time. So my current time up here is 10:03. So I can use the slider to change to see the situation as it was at 6:52. If you notice, I'm just playing around with this scroll. And you notice that there's a sun that appears. Yeah, so it's a virtual kind of a sun. So this depicts an area. Let's zoom into Kenya. This was at 10:33 p.m. Then if we change it, this is how 6:17 looks like, 6:35, 6:50, 7:10. The people are awake here. Yeah, so that is on the sun. Then you can also choose to check the historical imagery. And the water surface, you can choose to enable or disable water surface. So let's see what happens when the water surface is enabled. I've disabled it. Let me just zoom in so that we see whether we can be able to get the gist of it. Yeah, so let me zoom into an inland water body like this, Lake Victoria. And then let me enable water surface. Yeah, let me also disable the grid. And let me enable the water, disable the water surface. So for the inland water body, it's not showing anything. Let's see what happens when we zoom into our ocean here. So if you enable the water surface, you'll notice that this is where we see the curves or the waves of the ocean. But if we disable it, it just shows some blue color that is static. It's not an animated image here inside. So if we click view and then we click the water surface, then we see some waves of sorts that are moving. Yeah, you can see they depict the waves the way the ocean waves, the way they're usually moving. So I'll disable the water. Let me leave it as enabled, and then yeah, you can also choose to explore the earth, the sky. So under explore, let's see what happens when you click on sky. Yeah, so what it does is that it is showing us the view of the sky. So these are some of the galaxies, the planets in the galaxy, and the stars. These are stars. Then if you click on any, it will just show you some things or some information. Yeah, so it shows about the galaxy. So yeah, so there's a lot of things you can do with these Google Earth. No. Yeah, so that is on the sky. We also have a sky database. So let us go back and switch back to, maybe let's look at Mars. When you click on Mars, it also shows us the representation of Mars planet, which has been mapped by various satellites over the years. Yeah, so you'll notice that the image kind of takes some time before it recalculates. So that is Mars. Then we have, under explore, we can also look at the moon. Yeah, so the moon has also been, mapped by satellites, various satellites. And this is how it looks like. You can also zoom in. Yeah, and it may also take some time to load the image because okay, so that is on the views, the explore. So let's go back to Earth, since that's what we are using. And as I've told you, it normally zooms automatically to these to the US. So that is on the view. You can also choose to reset. Let's say you have changed your compass. You have also changed your, you have navigated to somewhere else. So if you want to reset your view, you can click on view, then you click on reset. You can reset your tilt. You can reset your tilt, and then you can also reset your. You can also reset your. Let's also try and reset the compass. So if I reset my compass, this is what appears. So let me zoom into Kenya. Let me zoom anywhere, somewhere randomly. So you can also use your mouse scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out. So I've zoomed to some place here in Kenya. And let me change the compass. So you'll notice that it appears, it's not, I've tilted it. Yeah, so this is somewhere in Kitui. You notice that this map looks funny. It looks like, we have adjusted the tilt. So this is Kenya. So if you want to reset the tilt, the compass, you click on view, and then you click on reset, and then you click on the reset the compass. That is resetting on the compass. So it returns it back to the usual or to the normal orientation of the north. So let's zoom into some town like Lamu. At least we know where Lamu is. So let's zoom into that and see what we can do about it. So I'm zooming in. I'm continuing on zooming in. Okay. Yeah, so this is some town or some residential area. So let's say that I want to go to view the street view. You remember this icon of a person that appears here? You can click on it. You can click on it. And then you can take the person without releasing, and you can place the person somewhere here. So you'll see that, there's something that changes. You notice that now we are on a flat surface. We are not seeing the globe in 2 dimensions. We're in a flat surface. Yeah. So you can move. You can use the scroll wheel to move. Yeah, you can use the scroll wheel to move. And you notice that there are some areas that are high, others are low. Okay. Yeah, so this is what we have. Some areas are high and the other areas are low. Yeah, so if you want to exit this kind of a view, then let's see what happens. You can click on view and then you click on reset, and then we say reset tilt. So if you reset tilt, what it does is now returns to a flat area. If it's like this, you cannot probably see the horizon, but you want to see the horizon. So you can click on view, reset, tilt. Then you can also, now we are using what you call the ground view. So if you want to exit the ground view, you notice that there's some menus up here on top right that has a button titled exit ground level view. So you can click on it and it will exit the ground level view. Yeah, so and then you can also, let's see, at this point, if you click reset tilt, it puts us on now the 2D. You can see the earth as a big flat area. But remember that also our map kind of looks funny. So you'll click on, it's actually almost somewhat upside down. So you can click on view and then you reset the compass. Okay. And it returns us to our normal or usual north. Yeah, so that is on the view. And then you can also use some items under edit. You can copy image, you can find. Then you also have under file, you can click open if you have an external file that you want to open. If you click open, it opens the Explorer page, the file Explorer. If you want to save, you can save if you have created some data, and we are going to do that. You can also click on email. You can email this view, or you can email the image. You can view the Google Earth on the web. You can click view Google Earth on web, but then you can print, import, do a sign out if you have signed in, and then you can also exit. Yeah, so let us look at these tools, practically. So there's one thing that we are going to change first. So open your Google Earth Pro and identify this tools menu. And then inside this tools menu, you can click on, there's something I forgot to mention about, you can enter what you call the flight simulator mode. Then let's click on it and see. So you can select your aircraft. So I'll just leave it as it is. Then there's this area that says, select your start position. And for the aircraft, I'll leave it as it is. Then I'll click on the airport. Let's see if we can be able to, there are only few airports that are titled here. So I'll look at for the airport that is nearest to our location or our area, which is Kilimanjaro. So I'll click this Kilimanjaro. So when I click on the airport in Kilimanjaro, I will just click on start flight. And when I start flight, this is, this is how it looks like. Yeah, so you can use it to navigate from one point to another. Yeah, so I think it takes some time to start. So yeah, so we may have to check on that if you're interested on checking the flight simulator, but I will just exit. And when I exit, what it does is that it starts, it's like it flies, or it shows us the, yeah, so I'll just exit the ground level view. So yeah, so this is a Kilimanjaro airport, I believe. Yeah, so let me just reset my, using the view, you can reset my compass and the tilt. Yeah, so that is on the flight simulator. So kindly go back to the tools menu, and I want us to click on options. So these options, you can use them to adjust your Google Earth. And I would like to explain this because it is quite, it can be helpful in your work when you're using the Google Earth. So there is this 3D view. So you can choose your texture colors. So this one, we leave it as a default as it is. So there is what you call anisotropic filtering. So this is the fineness of the map. So we leave it as medium. So remember, if you set it to high, then it will be, this is a visualization tool. So it is consuming some 3D graphics. So if you have a graphics processing unit in your machine, which I believe you have, you can set it to high. However, for our case, most of us, let's just leave it as medium. Then you have the labels. You can choose to use small labels, icon size which are large. So let me set this to large for those maybe who cannot see the small screen. And then we have the graphics mode. So if you have a graphics processing unit, you may see some other items here. So I'll leave this as it is. Then it's asking us to show, how do you want your latitude and longitude to be shown? This on this window on the left, show lat long, under show lat long. We have decimal degrees, decimal minutes and seconds. You remember that we were looking at decimal degrees, systems and all that. You can also choose to use a universal transverse marketer. So let's just click on UTM, the universal transverse marketer, and we will see when we apply, we'll see what if there are changes. Now, this is where I was talking about the units of measurement. So we have the default uses miles and feet, but we know very well in our case, or in our area, we normally use meters and kilometers. So we'll adjust these to meters and kilometers, okay? Then for the fonts, you can, if you want to change your font, you can choose your font, click on font and choose font, but I won't change it. Then you also have this anti-aliasing. Anti-aliasing, it's also related to the graphics and the way these things appear. So I'll just leave it as medium. Then we have elevation exaggeration. So these are on the terrain. So we'll just leave it as default. Then we have the atmosphere. So let's click on use photorealistic atmosphere rendering, which is an experimental feature. Let's see what it does. We don't know what it does, but you can kind of check it out. So that is on the 3D view panel. So let's adjust our tab here. 3D view tab. From 3D, we adjust it to the cache. So let's read this. Maximum memory cache size is dependent on the amount of physical memory installed on your system. The disk cache size can be up to 2 GB or 2048 MB. Changes will take effect in the next time the application is restarted. Yeah, so this one also you can adjust depending on your memory size. So if you have set it to, you'll notice that this is a quarter as well of sorts. You can even choose to clear the memory cache if it's occupied a lot of this your disk. You can also use click the disk cache to clear your disk cache. So let's see what happens. I can maybe change mine to 4 GB. However, let's just leave it as it is. Then let's look at touring. You can create tours inside this Google Earth. So these are the settings for touring. Then we also have navigation. You can use the fly to and mouse wheel to navigate. You have been using the mouse wheel. So if you want to adjust the speed of scrolling in and out, you can change them. Under mouse wheel, you can change the speed. Then we have general. So general has the display options, email program, whichever email you want to use. If you have Outlook in your machine, you can use the email Outlook to email the image or this item. Then you also have what you call KML handling. If there's a problem in the KML, how is it handled? So we leave that as default, as it is. Then we have place mark balloons. Then we have cookies, startup tips, and all that. We have usage statistics. You remember when you were installing, I unchecked the usage statistics. So that is it on these menus. So we have only changed the 3D view, unit of measurements, labels and icon size, and lat long. So we changed the lat long to UTM, Universe Transverse Mercator. And you'll notice that it has reset or reappeared. So yeah, so you notice that the font is big. So I changed the font to be a bit big so that some of us, you do not see a very small fonts. Okay, so that is, I would say that is the summary of the user interface, which is under view, not view, which is under tools, options. Yeah, so let's go back to our slides briefly. And unless anyone has a question, we could go back to the slides briefly. Does anyone have a question on the Google Earth Pro user interface? Feel free to ask. Okay, so I will reshare the slide. Yeah, so we were able to launch our Google Earth and we have looked at the user interface. Yeah, so we've been able to brush through the UI, the user interface. We have looked at the sidebar, which contains the search, places, and layers. We've been able to look at the toolbar that consists of various menus. As it appears on the top of the Google Earth interface, provides access to a variety of features, place marks, creating polygons, image overlay, historical images, among others, which includes even emailing. So we have looked at the menu bar and its items, and also the menus and submenus that appear under them. So now we are going to jump into a practical bit, and this practical bit will entail the following item. We will look at how to check historical imagery. The second task will be creating of place marks. The preceding item will be describing place marks, which will be preceded by, you can add a photo. Then it is preceded by exploring Google Earth on web browser. Yeah, then we'll also create a walk tour. However, this is something that I will leave you to do as a practical or as an assignment of sorts. Then we'll create an animated tour, which is also a task given. And then we will also import some geospatial data into Google Earth. And then we will export the data from Google Earth. So let's briefly look at the historical image. So the historical imagery, what it does is that the first step, we will search something like Lake Victoria in the search bar. Then we will click on view, and then we will click on show historical imagery. There's a checkbox there that asks us if it wants to show the historical imagery. Then you have we'll use the scroll bar to monitor or to see the history of a given area. In this case, we will be using Lake Victoria. Then you will repeat, this one is onto you participants, you will repeat the procedure for a different area, and then you can share with us the results, or just a screenshot of your particular area. So yeah, so let us see how we can work with the historical imagery. So we will first search, remember the search which is located in the sidebar. So we will click on it, the search, and then when it shows a drop down, or when it collapses, there's a search area. In this case, we are searching for Lake Victoria. And then you will click on one of the menu items which has the historical imagery, and then it will show the kind of a toolbar, or a scroll bar rather, horizontal scroll bar that contains the dates. In this case, we have the start date, which is 1984, and then you have the end date, which is 2020. And then, of course, the map will show us some area, which is, in this case, it's Lake Victoria. Yeah, so let's quickly go into our user interface. So I'll just stop sharing, and we'll reshare the Google Earth. Yeah, so I believe all of us can see the Google Earth. So yeah, so maybe you have your search which is collapsed. So I'll click on search. And then after clicking on search, there is this search bar that appears here. So in this case, I'll just search, let me search Lake Victoria. Victoria. Yeah, and you'll notice that there's a drop down here that it's like it's searching in some database and displaying the results. Displaying the results as a list. Okay. So I'll click on the first one, Lake Victoria, the first option. So when you click on it, then it just appears, it shows here on the search bar. So if you've clicked another Lake Victoria, let's say seen another option, which is Lake Victoria, Tanzania, and all these others, Lake Victoria Hotel, Siungu, Serena Golf resort and all that. So I'll just leave it as Lake Victoria, and then I'll click on search. And you'll notice that the Google Earth starts on zooming into that area. Okay. Yeah, so this is what we have. And what you would do, let's zoom in further. So you can zoom into any point within that, within the Lake Victoria, even the shores. So I'm looking for an island. Yeah, so let me zoom into, you can zoom into any island, feel free to do that. Yeah, so we have these island, I don't know what it's called, but let us see what we can do with it. So the next step, after you have zoomed into your area of interest or whichever area that you want to check within Lake Victoria, you can click on the view, then you click on, there's this historical imagery. So check on that checkbox for historical imagery. So when you check it, this is what we get. You get the bar that I was talking about. You notice that there's a bar at the top there, top left within the map area. And this bar is used to adjust our, or to change our timelines. So it's a horizontal like scroll bar. So you can take it a little bit back. You can move it back and forth. So this, it has moved to September 2010. Then you can move it to 1985. December, and you notice that for 1985, the image is not even, it's even not very clear. It's not very, it's not very clear. So let us increase the years to around 1987. Let us move to, so you can actually use these arrows also to move. You notice that the only, before 2010, the only image that you have is December 1985. Then we have 2010. Then we have, I think, 2011. We have 2018. We have 2019. Then we have 2019 as well. We have 2020. And this is the last February 2020, the second month of 2020. So these are some of the things you will notice. So let's zoom to another, let's now zoom to somewhere where we know that we have an urban area. So I'm going to navigate into Uganda. And let's look at this area that is called Entebbe. And then we can use this, you can take it back to 1985. You notice that it's not very clear. Then we move to 2006. So these are the 2006 looks like. We move to 2007. You can move to 2009. You can navigate to 2011. So let us begin. Let us look at any feature, because what you want to identify here is the change detection. So I've just zoomed into some area here. So if I go back to like 2007 or 2006, one thing you'll notice is that this area, there's an area here that has some kind of, I'm not sure whether these are farmlands, but they look like farmlands. They are small in size. These things, the one that has lines. Yeah. So let's see what happens when you notice that it has shifted. The farmlands have shifted to a different, like the left side or the left area in 2007. If I go back again, you notice that they're on the right. But if we move back. Now if you move ahead, you notice that they have shifted. Let's continue moving or decreasing the years. So you notice let's see if there's a difference between these and the previous. So the previous one had just patches of farmland, but the farmland increases. Now it occupies this whole area. Then, yeah, the list continues or the item continues. Yeah, so this tool can be used for change detection. Okay, so that is on Entebbe. So we're going to use another different example. So let's go to a town some lake town in Tanzania. So we have this lake town called Mwanza. So I'm just zooming into some random area well within the Lake Victoria. Okay, so let's look at how this area has been changing. So let's go back to 1985, which is also not very clear. Then we move into 2004. Then we can check, let's move into 2004, then 2005. Yeah, so while you're doing that, just be keen and try to see any change. So let me zoom into some area here. So that is on 2005. 2006, 2010. Yeah, so there's something that I've noticed. You see, let me zoom into this area. You see there's an area here that has some houses. And we have this Mirongo River. So if you go into the next area, you'll notice the next map, you'll notice that we have some houses. We have this, which I think it's a house. I'm not very sure, but I think it's a house, which was not there before. Okay, it was not there before. So I'm going to share with you guys a screenshot of that particular house. Let me just go back to the same area where it wasn't there. And take a screenshot of these. Yeah, so that's what we have. So we have an image there, and which is for 2005. Then we have another image which is for 2010. Yeah, so let's see how the 2010 one looks like. So it is an image for a similar area. So you'll notice that there's some of these that were not there. Yeah, so I've circled them in red. So similarly, what I would want us to do, I would want us to share any change detection that you have found, like the way I've done mine. Yeah, so just share you can zoom into any area, use the historical tool, then you can check, you can share with us, maybe you can share a screenshot. Yeah, so I've shared the images, and you'll notice that the first image does not have some houses, but in the second image, there's some structures that have appeared that were not there. Yeah, so I would invite you to share with us any changes that you detect somewhere, preferably in an urban area. That would really help. You probably notice some changes. Yeah, so this is one of the areas. Let me search for another area. So I'll just zoom out and can zoom into somewhere else. Let me remove that place mark. Yeah, so let me check the coastal town of Malindi in Kenya. And then I can use the tool. So I'll just set it back to the beginning. The 1985 image seems not to be clear for many areas. So this is the image for 2000. So I'll use my eyes, you use your visual perception to see where there are changes. So I can try and return back, see if there are any houses. So while I'm doing this, please try and look into your area of interest, whichever it is, and then you can show the change detection and share it with us. Okay, so let me just go to some other area. Yeah, so it may not be just a very easy task, but you can try and move, check it out, whichever area of interest that you have. Yeah, so there are some features that probably identified. You can also look at anything, any feature, trees, you know, that you can see. So I may not have identified something there. So let me try and check some other area. So there's this delta. Yeah, so there's something that I've noticed. Let me share a second my second screenshot. So there's an area somewhere that this is for 2007. Has anyone been able to identify some area? So the same area in 2010. Yeah, okay, at least somebody has, one of us has been able to share with us. Thank you. Yeah, so that is it on the historical mapping. So you can be able to check history of many places. So let me use a final example, which will be Nairobi. And then I click search. So you notice the way the Google Earth navigates. It's like you're flying from one place to another. So remember in Nairobi, because this is somewhere where we are familiar with, we have been having very many changes. So let me zoom into this area that it's normally called the Globe Roundabout. Yeah, thank you, Ephantas. Yeah, so another trick is that you can use an area that you're familiar with, you know, like Nairobi or, you know. So this is a Globe Roundabout in 2010. So this is a Globe Roundabout in 2010. This is how it looks like. Let's see how it looks like after some changes, okay? And let's see, let's move it forward in 2011, 2012, 2012. The image is also clear. Yeah, so you'll notice that in 2012, we have the, I'm going to disable the roads so that I can make it can be clear. So this is how it looked like in 2010, then in 2011, then in 2012, you notice that we have, we'll be having something. So this is the same globe roundabout in 2012. So this is what we have in, so this is an example of the change detection. So let me go back to the same. Yeah, so I believe you've been able to see the items. So this is globe roundabout. The example that I've shared is a globe roundabout in 2010 and the same globe roundabout in 2012. Yeah, so that is on the change detection. So let's go back to our slide. Yeah, so this is on the historical imagery. So you can be able to monitor changes. What changes have been occurring from, from some time to this time, you get? So this can be a very good workaround. Remember when we were working with raster images in previous sessions? So if you have your raster image, which is, 50 GB and you may have to download, let's say 2 images, one for, which is as big as that, probably one for 2015 and another one for 2020 or 2021. Those are two very bulky images. So instead of going through all that stress of doing that, you can just install your Google Earth, check your area of interest, and then you can look at the changes on what have been happening. And this is something that is also employed in the field of field called Earth observation and remote sensing. So this is where you can, you can employ those these two to monitor changes in a place. They could be vegetation changes, they could be urban changes, like the way we have rural to urban migration. It can be also something like an earthquake that has occurred somewhere, maybe in Japan, or the one that occurred in Haiti. So you can check. So that is on the historical imagery. So let us look at creating of place marks. So what are place marks? Place marks are used, they are like point features of sorts that are used to represent points of interest. Points of interest, it's a term that is normally used a lot in the geospatial field when working with maps. So a point of interest could be a hotel, could be a bus stop, it could be some mall, it could be an airport, it could be a town, it could be a shop, a retail shop somewhere. So that is those are examples of place marks, which they are identified in the geospatial field. They are identified using points. So as the name depicts, points of interest. So we have we are going to go back into our Google Earth tool or Google Earth user interface. So then you're going to click on place mark icon. I'm going to show you what the place mark icon looks like. Then you'll place the marker on, when you click on the place mark icon and move your cursor into the map, you notice that the map, you'll be seeing something like the place mark trying to request or ask you where it's going to be placed. Yeah, so we have the, then you'll place the marker in the area that you want to show. And then you repeat the procedure for at least 3 capital cities, because I believe we are familiar with Eastern Africa. Somalia, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, yeah, and name them all, Ethiopia. So repeat the procedure for at least 3 capital cities in West African countries, and then you can share the results with us. So you can share the results just like we are doing via some screenshots. So let us see. So we will also do some describing of the place marks. So you can change the place mark. So originally or by default, the place mark is identified by a yellow pin. And you can change the pin to a different color. You can also use the place marks that, these are the place marks that are used in the Google Maps. Yeah, you can be able to place the place marks. You can be able to check, to add a symbol. I can see there's a symbol for airport, there's a symbol for train, bus, car, truck, ship, information, gas station or petrol station. There's a $sign, yen, hospital identified by H. There are quite a number. Yeah, and I think you can also add your own additional icons. Okay. Yeah, so let's that is on the place marks. So let's try and describe some, we create some place marks. So we will, this one will, let's do it together. So I'll navigate back to Google Earth. Yeah, so I believe you can see the Google Earth. Yeah, so I'm just zooming out. So if you find this zooming in and out is stressful, so what you can do is, remember, you can use the search. We have looked at the search. So you can just search your area. So in this case, I'm going to search for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and you'll see that it has displayed here, and then I'll click search, and the map will do the rest. No, actually we were working with a point in N'Djamena. And N'Djamena, it is in Chad, it's the capital city of Chad. So let's work with that. So you notice that the map is navigating. Yeah, so there is a point here in N'Djamena. So I had already created a point, so let me just remove it. So to create a marker, you need to, on your toolbar, the top toolbar, you'll notice that we have a yellow kind of a pin, which is the first icon or the second. And when you place your cursor, it shows add place mark. So you'll click on it, and when you click on it, you'll notice that there's a blinking, there's something that is blinking on your main map. So far this map is calling itself untitled place mark. So this area is called N'Djamena, or N'Djamena, N-D-J-A-M-E-N-A. So in this name, the name here, I'm going to change it. Let us expand this window. So I'm going to change it and call it Jamena. The zone, the easting and all that, we'll just leave them as they are. And you notice that actually, I forgot to mention to you, notice that the coordinates have changed. We changed them to UTM from decimal degrees. So this is what we have: UTM, easting and northing. So you can change the, you can also change the marker. How can you change the marker? There's also a marker button here next to the name where we have input our name. We have a yellow marker, so you can click on it and it's going to open, it's going to open these different things here. So I can change my marker to some other color like white, or I can add, I can use a marker A. So in this case, I can select the marker with N, because the town or the city starts with an N. So I'll click OK. And for now, I'll just click OK again. And the marker has been placed there. Okay. So if you zoom out, you notice that there's a point here that shows Jamena. So just ignore the other one. There's an original point here. And actually what I can do, I can disable in my layers panel here, this layers panel in the left bar, I can disable places. Not sure, places. We expand these borders, labels, weather gallery, and more. Let's see what happens when I disable borders. Yeah, the borders disappear. So I can also disable labels. Yeah, so even if we disable labels, we notice that we have Jamena. Yeah, so we have created our first point, which is Jamena. So I would at least want us to show the, display, click on any points and create those markers, preferably in our Eastern African region. So you first start search. When you search your capital, the map will do the rest. It will zoom you to that area. Then you can place your marker on that capital. And then when you place your marker on that capital, you can add some information. You can add a name. You can even add the initials of that town or something like that. So I would want us to at least add three cities within the Eastern African region. And then after you've done that, kindly share the results with us, just as like we have been doing, just using some screenshots. So you will notice that my points have disappeared. So what you can do, just if you want your points to come back, you can click on labels, or you can disable. You can also disable borders. Those are some of the things that you can do. So add at least some capitals. We have Addis Ababa for Ethiopia. We have Mogadishu for Somalia. We have Kampala for Uganda. We have Kigali for Rwanda. And then we have, I'm not sure whether it's Dodoma or Dar es Salaam for Tanzania. And then we have, the other one is Khartoum for Sudan. I believe Juba, I'm not sure, Juba for South Sudan. And let's see the other capitals. You have also the capital for Burundi. So in my case, I'm going to add all the capitals for these countries, Eritrea, Djibouti. So let's start. I would also urge you to do the same. So I will just have, as a first step, I'm going to search. So in this case, I'm going to search Nairobi. I'll start with Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. Then I click search. And it shows me Nairobi. So I'll zoom into Nairobi. Okay, and then when I zoom into Nairobi, I'm going to add a marker. So I'll change the marker icon here and I can just use the marker colors, the markers with the color. So there's this green marker. You can also change the style or the color. You can change the scale. If you want the icon to be big, you can change the scale. So I've placed a very big marker for Nairobi. Under style, this is under style. And view and all that, you can change these different things, but then I will call it NBO. And then I'll click OK. So we have NBO, which is shown by this big marker. Okay. Then I will search for Kigali, which is in Rwanda. Kigali. Then I'll click it there and click on the search button. So it will zoom into Rwanda, into Kigali. Then I will click the marker icon and place the marker here, there on Kigali. I'll call it KGL. And then for the style, I will change the color. I can use a different color, maybe green. I've already used green, so I'll use something like that color that looks like Tony Red. Oh, that is the name. That is for the name. So you need to be careful. So for the name, I'll just click a white color. Let it stay as it was. And for the icon color, I can click on that. And I click OK. So it appears black. Let me click some other color. Yeah, I don't know what. So you can cancel if you want to remove the point. You click cancel. So I've added the point again. So let me look for the color style color. Then I can click some color here. I don't know why it appears black. Nevertheless, I'll leave it as it is. So I'll call it KGL. KGL. And I can click on the marker icon. If I'm not happy with that marker, then I can just click I'll use a pink marker for that. Then I'll call it I'll put 2.7 as the size. Then I'll click OK. So now we have 2 points. We have KGL and NBO. So the next point I will work on is Kampala in Uganda. Uganda, Kampala, and then search for it. Yeah, this is how it looks like. Then I'll go to my pin or marker, place mark rather. Then I click on the place mark icon. I will just change the color. I'll use white for these and then click OK. And then in this style, I will adjust it to 2.7 as well. And then I will call it KMPL, maybe KMPL. And then I'll click OK. So now if you zoom out, you notice that I already have 3 big points. One for Kampala, Kigali, New Rwanda, and then NBO for Nairobi. So my next point will be Mogadishu, Somalia, and I'll search for it. Yeah, so it zooms to Mogadishu. So I'll add the name, the marker, and then I'll adjust the marker. I'll put, for this one, I'll put it as blue, and then I can also change the scale here, but I'll just click OK and change it under style, color, say this tab. So I'll call it 2.7, and then for Mogadishu, I'll just call it MGDS. So I'm just using some, some randomly thought initials. So you notice that from this map, I have 4 points now. So let me move to I'm not sure which is the capital of Tanzania, but somebody could help me out. Which is the capital for Tanzania? Pardon? Which is the capital for Tanzania? You can try and help me out on that. Dar es Salaam. Thank you, David. So let's search for Dar es Salaam. Yeah, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. You can see the drop down here already identifies it. Then I can click on search. So we're going to zoom into, yeah, it has zoomed into Dar es Salaam. So as usual, we'll add our marker. And please try and put your markers to have different colors, maybe at least. So in this one, I'll use red icon, and then I'll click on the style color, and then I'll set it to 2.7, and then I can call it Dar es Salaam, DES. Then you can also zoom out. You notice now we have how many? I have 5 points. So I'm not sure which is the capital of Burundi. Bujumbura. So it's Bujumbura. So let's check. You can search for Bujumbura if you are not there in the map. So we have Bujumbura. So you click on the Bujumbura and it places a point there. And we'll use this color. It's navy blue or something, 2.7. So you can use your size whichever you want. So I've called it BJMB. So that's how it looks like. Zoom out. Yeah, so let's move to Ethiopia, which has Addis Ababa. Then I will search. Okay, so we have Addis Ababa. So I'll add the point for Addis, and then I will give it some color. Not sure if I've used purple somewhere else. So I'll select the purple one. Then under style, I'll put it 2.7. Then I will call it Addis Ababa. So I'll call it ADDS. So we are done with Ethiopia. Let's move to Eritrea. Asmara. So the capital of Eritrea is Asmara. So in your search, you can just search for Asmara. And then you can add place your marker. So in this case, I'll leave the marker with that color, but I can change the color in this style color. So Asmara, I can call it ASMR. And then for the color, I can change it to something else. I can try and play around with the color values. So I can have it like that. Does not change a lot. So let's add some screen color. Or let's stick to yellow. So it has displayed, it has some funny color. So I think it sticks to its base color. Then let's look at Djibouti. So the capital for Djibouti is, I don't know what it is, but I think it's Djibouti. Sure though. Yeah, so let's place it on the Djibouti. So I can see it here, so I'll just place some marker here. If you notice your marker is off, you can move it. This is what I was saying, you can place it somewhere. So let's see, call it DJB. And then I can use a different marker in this case. Let me just use marker. Use this blue one. And then I'll click OK. And then for the style, I'll set the scale to 2.7 so that it's big. So that's how it looks like, Djibouti. Then we are remaining with how many? We have South Sudan and Sudan. I don't think there are any others. So for the South Sudan, let's start with Sudan. So we have the Khartoum. It's usually somewhere in the north. Yeah, it's here, Khartoum. So you can also just use a search. So it has zoomed us into Khartoum. So let's click that one, and then we can change the marker to some other color. Click OK, style color, scale 2.7. Then I click OK. And remember now I've not given my name. So, you can edit by right-clicking the marker and selecting properties. So I want it to have a name. So I'll call it KTM. So now finally we have the South Sudan, which I presume the capital is, I'm not sure, but I think it's Juba. It should be Juba. So let me search on Juba. Yeah, so I'll just place my marker there. Then I'll select a marker with a different color. In this case, I think I can use the yellow. Let me use a yellow. We just click on the white. Then I can change the style here to yellow. Show you it will change. It has changed. Then I'll set the scale to 2.7. So it's once again, it is untitled place mark. So I'll just click on properties and then it Juba. Then I'll click OK. And now we can just try and zoom out. And you'll notice that we have our capitals. We have KTM for Khartoum, Asmara, Addis, Djibouti, Mogadishu, Nairobi, Kampala, Kigali, Bujumbura for Burundi, and Dar es Salaam for Tanzania. Yeah, so that's what we have. And now we have been able to create our place marks. Yeah, so that is our first step. Now we may be wondering, where are these place marks, or these where are these place marks that we have created? Of course, they are on the map, but where are they? So you can look at places. Now under places, there is this tab. We have the tab for the search, we have places and layers. So for the places, you can expand it. Here, this is where the points are showing. You see, these are the points we have in N'Djamena that we created, and Bio, Kigali, and all that. So these points are being shown here, and they are being shown under what you call my places. Okay, these are what you call my places. Yeah. So they have been saved somewhere, So what is the next step? So that is basically on placement of markers. So you can, it's like digitizing, yeah, whereby you're adding points. So we have been able to add some points in our area. So when you add your points, yeah, so these are how they look like. So if you want to edit a point, let me repeat, you can, like now, if I want to edit this, I can just right click. And there are so many options here. You can save places, directions, snapshot view, show view, share them. So we have properties. So you can use these properties to change. Okay. So like now, if I want to change it from double DS, I can just put it as ADS. Then I click OK and it will change. Okay. So you can use it to add various points. Yeah. So could anyone share with us some screenshots that maybe they have created similarly to this? I assume that you have probably used different colors than mine. So maybe you can share with us. Yeah, similarly, if anyone has a challenge in creating these points, feel free to ask for guidance. Can still do it together again. Nevertheless, you can share with us the screenshot for your points. Yeah, so that is it on our place marks. So even if you have created 2 or 1, can feel free to share, please, for the rest of us to see. Okay. Now the next item is, while still on these on the place marks, I would want us to check on yeah. I would want that. So thank you, Alex. Thank you for creating the points as well. So you'll notice that the shared output for Alex and myself, they are different. See, so you can put your marker, color and all that, whatever you want to put it, you can use a different color depending on whatever you are trying to display. Okay, so we have done creating of our points or our place marks. So the next item is I would want us to create some polygons. So how do we do that? So the process is similar to the one that we have in creation of our points. And you first identify your toolbar, as you can see it here on top. And then you can click on the second item, which is add polygon. So we have add polygon, and I want us to draw, you can zoom into some area. So in this case, I'm going to add a polygon for, let's see. Let me use a different feature. So we have within the continent of Africa, you can search for some features. So I'll use, let me use, there's a lake here. I think it's called Lake what? Lake Albert. So I'm going to digitize Lake Albert. If you don't know where Lake Albert is, remember to use the search. It simplifies your, let's say you are somewhere else in the world. So you can just search your Lake Albert. So you click on Lake Albert and search. So Lake Albert is on the border of, it's shared by Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. So this is what we have as Lake Albert. So I want you, if you have clicked the Lake Albert, you can click on the polygon tool. And then remember, like the way we were doing in our QGIS application. So you can click on the polygon, and then we will call the polygon Lake Albert. Okay. Then when we have these, you'll notice that when you move your cursor into the map, it shows a box, a target box that has a target inside. So that's what we will use we want to draw a polygon or digitize a polygon. So you can zoom in. So it's not drawn to scale. So you can draw your points at whichever scale. Like these. You'll notice that this window is still there. So you can zoom out and zoom in so that you can see if you cannot see the area in which you're extending it. So ideally you can do the whole of these steps with just your mouse. So as I've said, this image is not, we are not drawing to scale. So just draw some polygon around. So we can continue digitizing. Can continue again digitizing. Yeah, so there's some delta here, although I'm not going to digitize the whole of it. Yeah, so we have not drawn to scale, but bear it in mind that you may have, probably your work may recommend or may insist on you using trying to do an accurate image. So after you have edited your polygon, so you can just double click. So when you double click, it closes the polygon when you do a double click. So this is how my polygon looks like. So I can change, since I'm representing a lake, I would try to stick to the color blue. So we have the line color. The line color, you can leave it as it is, but for the color, I would urge you to set it to something like this blue or the other blue here. Yeah. So that is our Lake Albert. So let us look for another lake. There's usually a lake called Lake Natron. I'm not sure where it is somewhere, Lake Natron. Yeah, so you can search for, do not use a very big feature, just search for some feature that you can quickly and easily digitize. So we have this Lake Kivu, the volcanic lake, rather the lake that is near the Goma, where we were having some volcanic activity recently. So I'll click on, this is my second feature, I'll click on polygon, and then I will begin digitizing the lake. Yeah, so the lake kind of has some, it's like it has a hole inside, it has an island. So in this case, in my case, I'm just going to add that island as part of the lake. You can alternatively do a right click if you also want to end the edit. So I'll call it, this is Lake Kivu. Click OK. And that's how it looks like. Then there's a lake in Kenya called Lake Naivasha. So let's also, maybe we can add it. So we'll click on the polygon tool and start our edit session. So that's how it looks like. Again, remember we are not drawing it to scale. So Lake Victoria. Lake Naivasha. So that's how Lake Naivasha looks like. Then let's see another lake. We can also digitize this Lake Turkana. Lake Turkana. So let's see how it looks like. I'll add the name Lake Turkana. Then I can begin my digitizing. So I've closed the polygon and I'm gonna save it. So this is how it looks like. So those are our lakes. Yeah, so feel free to, digitize any lake that you want. Have Lake Malawi, we have this other lake. I don't know what is it called. There's another lake here. We have Lake, I think it's the Lake Tanganyika. Yeah, so those are the maybe the major lakes that that we have here. That we have been able to digitize. So you'll notice that in my places we have the 4 lakes. Yeah. So I believe if somebody has been able to digitize their lakes, you can show us. Let me disable my points. I am checking them, and also remove the labels. Also remove the places. So there's one label that is still showing. Yeah, so I have digitized these lakes. So maybe for those who not be seeing it, this is what we have. We have there are 4 actually. So anyone, you can feel free to digitize any feature that you want. And kindly share, even if it's one, just share it with us so that you can be able to really see that we are making progress. Yeah, so while we are at it, let's see, let me digitize the Lake Victoria. So I'll just quickly digitize it. So we have Lake Victoria. So you can also, I forgot to mention, you can also add a description. So you can just call it Lake Victoria. It's a freshwater lake. That is shared between 3 countries, namely Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. So that's what you have as a description. Then you click OK. Yeah, and you see that it's quite big. It's actually enormous. It's I'm not wrong, I think it's the biggest lake on the continent. So this is what we have. We've been able to add that. I'm not sure if somebody has been able to digitize theirs. You can share with us your screenshot. Yeah, so we've been able to add five lakes, namely Lake Albert, Lake Kivu, Lake Naivasha, and Lake Turkana. And that's how they look like in the Google Earth. So if you do not want to see them, you can choose to disable, and you don't want to remove them, but you just don't want to see them, you can choose to uncheck them in the checkboxes here in the under places. Okay, so we've been able to create that. So our last features that we will be creating are the line features. They are the line features. So we will we will add our line features. So you can use your line features to check it out. So I'm going to use, I'm going to try and digitize this feature for river. It's called River Tana. So River Tana is a river that cuts across the country, Kenya. So in this case, I will try and enable, let me just enable labels. Yeah, and I'm going to digitize it from the coast region. There's this area called Kipini. That's where we have the delta. Then we're going to go digitize it going upstream. We go with it upstream. So this is, it is. We even have a lake downstream that's called Lake Moa. And then it comes and drains its waters into the Indian Ocean. Yeah, so I'll just click my line feature. I'll call it River Tana. And then I will start digitizing. You notice that it shows the point. So the digitizing is more or less similar to how we do it in the GIS and QGIS. So we'll click it like this and then move it. So every time you do a mouse click, there is there's a node that is added. So we have some meanderings. We have some meanderings here and there. Then we have the
funge hapa milango yetu isiende.
Okay, so let's proceed. So I'm not sure where the meandering goes. Let's see. Can be able to get it from these two, from the map rather. So there are rivers that have joined it. So I'm assuming that it goes through this route. Okay, so let's see. So I'll follow this green patch for the what you call the riverine vegetation. So again, I'm not drawing to scale. So I won't digitize the whole of it. I'll reach up to some point. So you can use the zoom in and the zoom out tools to be able to check out the so digitize this solution. I can double click and leave it at that, and I click OK. So this is our line feature for River Tana. So we can equally, there's another major river that's called River Turkwell that feeds Lake Turkana. So it starts from the south here. So I'm going to add it from just somewhere. So I'll call it River Turkwell. So it's called River Turkwell. So let's see how it looks like. Properties, yeah. So if in the event that you click and save and the point has nothing, you see that I have River Turkwell, but I do not have it here in the map. So I can right click from the places and then I click properties and then I can begin digitizing in my map. So we can digitize, then we continue, zoom in and continue digitizing. Yeah, so I can also change the style and the color. So I can change the width to 3 stick. Then I can change the color to also some like dark blue. That's how it looks like. So I can also come here and change from the places I can change the properties for River Tana. I set it to the color, same color, and then I set it to 3. So that's how it looks. They look like those two. So we have been able to add some line features. So feel free to add whichever features you want, the line features, polygon features, or the area features, polygon lines or points features. So there's actually, yeah, so that is it on this. So let me activate all my edits. So this is the edits that I have just added. So if I could uncheck the database in the layers, I uncheck all the primary database. This is what happens. You notice that we have these features that we have created. We have the capitals that are identified by points. We have the lakes or the water bodies that are being identified by the polygons. And then we have the line features for 2 rivers, which is we have the River Turkwell and River Tana in Kenya. Yeah, so basically what this means, we have demonstrated that you can be able to create point, line, and features well within the Google Earth. So it can also be used as a digitizing tool. And let's see what we can do, what more we can do. So let's, for the digitizing and adding of points and lines, let's we leave it at that, because we have at least a point. We have some points, some polygons, and some lines. If you have also been able to digitize or add some features, please share with us so that for also others to see. It would be also kind of you to share. So okay, so we've added I've shared the points. And now let's see our next steps. So we'll move back to the briefly to the slides. Okay, so this is what we have. We have been able to create place marks, POIs. We've been able to create some points. We started with Jamena, then we digitized some points in our areas, capital cities of the countries that are within Eastern Africa. Yeah. And let's see what our next steps will be. So we were able to change the descriptions, with the name, the marker type, and even in one feature, we added a description, yeah, a textual description. So our next step is adding a photo. So you can also add a photo into your feature. So the photo, you can either add a photo URL or an image URL or an image link for an image that is somewhere in the internet or in the web. Then you can create a folder under My Places for storing the place marks, photos, and projects. So there are two ways in which you can do this, and we are going to demonstrate that. So the next step, you can search Google for a photo for an area that you are looking for. Download the photo in your machine. Then you'll click on the place mark, and among the options is a photo link, where you can add a photo link, exact photo, or alternative. And then you'll repeat these tasks for new place marks, and yeah, you can repeat it and share it with the class or with us in the chats. Yeah, so this is just some random photo that I added in one of my place marks. I had not named it. So I just added it so when you click on it in the map area, you're going to see the photo. It will be among the attribute information that you are adding. So let us add the photos into our features. So I would highly urge you guys, if you have done your points or whichever polygons or lines, please share with us in the chat. It would be very, very helpful. So let's go back to the Google Earth. So I believe that you can see the Google Earth. However, let me first get some photos from the internet. So let me share I'll open my browser. So this is I've shared my browser screen. So I've digitized a number of features, and among them are, thank you very much, Alex. Thank you for sharing the digitized features. So if you have been able to digitize your features, then you can check on, you can search. Let's search for some images. So in this case, we've been able to digitize Nairobi. So I'll start with Nairobi. And for the Google, if you search it in your Google, I'm assuming most of us are using the Google search engine, there is images. So under images, you can just identify one of the images for Nairobi. I'll use this 1, 2, 3, 4. There's this for the image. I'll click on that. And one thing I'm going to do, for this image, I'm just going to copy the link. So I'll copy the link. And then I will share the link with you guys in the chats. So let me open the image first. We have this kind of an image. So I'll copy the link to the image. And then I'm going to share with you guys. So that is the link to the image. So then after sharing that link, then we can go back to Yeah, so just saw that link. So I'm going to fetch the links to all the towns. So I searched Khartoum. I added Khartoum as my town. So I'll just look for a cool image for Khartoum. So I'll just click on the image. So it will take me to the website, which has that image. Yeah, so I'll just copy the image link. Then I'll share the link with you guys in the chat. I'll equally share it in the other chat as well. So I'll also add Addis Ababa. And then I look for some image. So I'll click on this image. I want this image background. I'm not sure if I can be able to capture it. Let me look for another image. Yeah, this one. So click on that image. Yeah, so I'll right click and copy the image link. So I'm once again going to share with you guys. So that is on the Addis Ababa. Yeah, so let's have those three first. Then for the others, I think I will download the image. So we can, there's what you usually call the Google image search. There's a search engine for images. You can use this link to search for images specifically. So I'll also share the link with you guys. So you can feel free to search an image there and then you can download. So for this one, I'll look for Kampala. I want to download them in my computer. So we have I'll just take some image here. And then I'm going to download this image into my computer. So I'll save the image into my computer and I'll call it Kampala. I'll close that. I'll search for another town, which I've not added, which is Juba. These are the towns that we have just digitized. So just click some image here. It's not very clear. Let me just use this one from Wikipedia. Yeah, so this is the image. So I'll just save the image. So let's call it Juba. I'll close that. I'll go to another city, which is Bujumbura, which is the capital for Burundi. So I'll just click on this capital and then I will right click and save the image. And I'll just call it, actually it's named Bujumbura. So just save it as it is. Then I'll just take another one more town, which is Asmara, the capital for Eritrea. So I'll just save it. However, let me try and look for another image. So I can just take this historical image for Asmara, and I'll just save the image, call it Asmara. Okay, so we are done with that, adding the image. So for some of our images, we will add them using the, we'll add them in a various ways. Some of them we'll just copy and paste the links because they are from the web. And then for others, we will add them, we will use the images we have downloaded. So let me share the Google Earth screen. So here we have our Google Earth. So we are done with our browser. So what we are going to do, we are going to, inside our places, we have these places. And the places we have, yeah, so let me disable the flex. So we'll start with the ones that we copied from the charts. So from our charts, we have one of our items, which is the town of Nairobi. So for the town of Nairobi, we have a link from the internet, which was the first link that I've shared with you guys. So we will click on NBO. You right click it inside the places, then you click on properties. Alternatively, you can click on add photo. So you can right click, add, select add, then click on photo. So it will ask whether you want to add an image overlay. So we can call this image maybe Nairobi city. And then for the link, you can paste the link from the internet. And actually for the description, you can also add a web image. Then you can just paste that image here. Then you can click OK. Then you can click once again OK. And you see it displays that image. However, notice that this is an image overlay. So it has appeared on top of the map. And we do not want this. So I think we can, let's just remove it. It has appeared here with a photograph, with a photo camera kind of an icon. So we can just delete it. So what you're going to do is that we are going to, you can also right click on NBO in the map similarly and click on properties. And then you add a web image. And then you can just click, paste there, and then you click OK. Then you can click OK. So when you click on NBO, this is what appears, the image, okay? When you click on NBO, the image appears and you see some directions, go to here, from here, and then you have the title NBO. Okay, and you can also open the image from wherever. If you click open image, it's going to open that image in the browser. So we'll close that. There's the other link that we shared, which is the second link. And it is a link to Khartoum, for Khartoum. So we'll go to Khartoum. It's far north. So I'll click on this, right click on this KTM, and then I'll add under properties. I will ensure that I'm on description and not in style, view, or altitude. So I'll ensure that I'm on description tab. And then I'll click on add web image. Sure that it is our add web image because we are adding the link, and you'll click OK on the side here, and the image, this link changes into some kind of a HTML source for the image. So I'll click OK. Now when I click on Khartoum, it displays this image from the internet. So we've added the image for that. Then we'll the other image, we also have the third image. That is for Addis Ababa. So when you'll come here to Addis, right click on the pin, this pin, and click on properties, and then click on the description, click on add web image. then you'll paste your image there, and then you'll click OK. So when you click on the ADS or the Addis Ababa, it shows the image. So this, note that this image is being loaded from the internet. So you close that. Then the final link, which was the fourth link that we shared, is actually there are only 3 links that we shared for the internet. So the other links that we are going to use, photos that we downloaded. And in this case, I will invite you to look at under these places. When you under the places, you can collapse it or you can show it all. So if you are showing it, you notice that we have the parent, which is My Places. Then under My Places, we have sightseeing tour. Then we have the towns that we created here and the lakes and all that. So one good thing you can do here, you can create a folder. So you can create a folder inside My Places. How can you do that? Identify My Places, then you can right click and add folder. So we are going to add a folder whereby we will save all our items. These are the points, the lines and polygons that we created. So we'll just click add, right click My Places. You ensure that is the one that you have right clicked and click select add, then you click on folder. So this folder, we are going to call it, let's call it Google Earth training, Google_Earth training. Okay, then we'll click enter. So we have a folder. You'll notice that we have a folder here titled Google Earth training, and it is a highlighted one. So inside it, I would want us to add all these items from NBO. You can remove the Jamena if you had added it. You don't need it for now. We will work with the data that we have created for our Eastern African countries. So we are going to click on NBO. I'm assuming yours are also arranged continuously. So I'll click on NBO, and while holding shift, I'll click on Lake Victoria. You hold on shift in your keyboard and click on Lake Victoria. Now you can ensure that all of them are highlighted in blue. Let me repeat. You click on the first item in my list. My first item is NBO. Then I'll click on the last item while holding shift in my keyboard. And then I will release the shift key, and you'll notice that all of these are the highlighted items. So I'll move them. I can drag and drop them inside Google Earth folder. So you notice that they are now, I've moved them inside the Google Earth training folder. So I can collapse to show all items. And I've noticed that there's 2 items that I've not added. So if you do not want to add them as a group, you can add one by one. So for example, I have Rivatana and Rivatakwa, which are not within these Google Earth training folder. So I can just drag and drop inside. So now I have all my elements inside this folder. I can even choose to uncheck all. If I check them, they appear. If I uncheck them, they disappear. Okay. So I've grouped them. I've added them into one folder. Okay. So I can activate them to see them. So now I'm going to add the images. Also, I'm going to add the images inside here. So what I can do, I can right click this folder, Google Earth training, and I can add photo. However, this is an overlay and we do not want to add overlays. So what I'll do, I'll just close. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the metadata, the images for these particular links from my computer. So in this case, I presume I had searched for Asmara. So I have Asmara here. So I'll just right click Asmara, and then I will click on properties. And then inside properties, and we'll ensure that description is a active tab. And then I'm going to click add local image. Remember, we downloaded an image for Asmara, among others. So I'll click on that, and then I will navigate to my downloads. So I have Asmara, Bujumbura, and Juba. So I'll add for the Asmara. And this is how it looks like. It shows a path to the image. Then I'll click OK. Now let's see what happens when you click Asmara. So it shows the image. Okay. Then the other one is Juba. So I'll identify Juba, which is this JB. Then I'll right click and click on properties, and under description, I'll click on add local image. So I'll navigate to my downloads, and then I will add Juba. And then the final one will be Bujumbura. So when I click on Juba, this on JB, it shows the image for Juba that we downloaded from the internet. Then we can also check on the final one is Bujumbura. You can right click on the marker icon instead of right clicking inside here, and you can click on properties, add local image, and then inside these we look for downloads other, and then we'll add our Bujumbura image. So when you click on Bujumbura image, it shows this kind of an information. Okay. So we've been able to add some properties in our towns and what have you. So if you click on Juba, you can see the image. If you click on something else, NBO, it shows this very big image. When you click on Asmara, it shows. So notice that some of them are loading images from the local computer, and the others are loading images from the, they're adding images from the internet. Yeah, so I've shared some screenshots. So you can even when you zoom out of the globe, you'll see that these images kind of just show. Let me use some other, use one for Juba. So you'll notice that they still, display the they normally display the points. Yeah, so if you have been able to add an image, even if it's just share it with us so that you can be able to check it out. So I have another one for Khartoum. Yeah, so we've been able to add our images to our points. So there's something else that I would like to show you. You can also add an image overlay. That will be our final item in adding the images. So you notice that Lake Victoria, when you click, it shows this information. So this is the metadata. This is the description. So let's also add some description for our features. Let's start with this River Tana. We can right click it here and click on properties. So we can say this river cuts across Kenya and drains its waters into the Indian Ocean. Okay, so you can click OK. So whenever I click this feature, it shows the information that I've added. So I would also urge you to add some information in some of your features, if not all. So River Turkwell, we can say that this river I think it usually contains a dam. So it contains a dam and hydroelectric plant, and it drains its waters into Lake Turkana. Okay, we click enter, then we click OK. So whenever you click on this feature, it shows you that information. For Lake Victoria, we have it. So I'll also add into Lake, the other one, Lake, which other one? Let me add also information in some town like the Nairobi. So I'll just right click and click Nairobi. Then next to the description, I will add some text here. This is the capital city of the Republic of Kenya. So that's what we have. So whenever you click on these, you notice that next to this image, you have some text here below. The image is quite big, but you notice that you have some small text here that is highlighted below. This is the capital city of the Republic of Kenya. So that's what we have. Yeah, so you can also add some metadata into your, to your information, your points or whichever features that you have created. You can be able to add some data there. So thanks a lot, Alex. I really appreciate, we really appreciate, these shows that we can also be able to add some of our information. Yeah. So we have these points. We have one for Khartoum. So we've been able to add some information. So in the interest of time, we are just going to, for adding information, we are going to halt it at that. So you can, on your free time, you can add some points or some features and then add some metadata. So having said that, we will move into our next step. So in our next step, we can be able to, let's move back to our slides first. So, yeah, so we are going to create, let me share the slide. Yeah, so we are going to create a walk tour. So this walk tour is, you can use what you call the direction tool that can be used to quickly and efficiently navigate from one position to another. So it comes in handy when you need to have more than one point. You need to have more than one place mark. So you can, in this case, you will be creating a series of markers within a given area. In this case, we are using the countries of Eastern Africa in our context, in this context. Then in this case, you will identify we need to have a beginning point and an end point. So the first point, you can right click the first place mark, which will be our starting point, and then you select directions from here. You'll see one of the information is directions from here. Then you can click the destination place mark, and then you can, I believe it should show something like the method of transit, but you're going to see that, and then you can save the route into My Places. Or instead of saving it into My Places, in this case, you can save it into our folder that we have called GIS, Google Earth Training. Yeah, so that should be our next step. So whenever you right click on your whichever point, you notice that we have one of the options is directions from here. There's also another one which is directions to here. Yeah, so you can choose among them, whichever you want. So yeah, so before we go to the importing and exporting of data, let's see what you can do with the walk tour rather. So let's move back to our Google Earth. So we have our I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Give me some seconds. I'm sharing the Google Earth. Yeah, so we have our points. So we can right click on any point. In this case, I can just identify some random point. Let me click this for this. And actually inside these places, we have places and layers. Could you collapse the layers, please. If you collapse the layers, then you can check, ensure you have disabled the primary database. So just enable it. Enable the point borders and labels. And then you can also enable the places. And I think you can also enable the photos. So if you enable the photos, before actually we create the route, you see there are some things, there are some icons that look like pictures, photos. So whenever you click on one of them, it shows some area here. So basically what we have done when you're adding our metadata, you notice that it shows some points, and you'll see this is an image, and it is titled AP Camp Gunana. And you can also see whoever uploaded it. There's somebody who uploaded it, Joseph Onyango. So this is information that is in the public. So somebody else shared some point here in Turkana. You can see this school image. I think it's of an oasis. So we have Kenya. I think it means Kenya. And Loyangalani Kalacha. I think this is the name of that place. So you can see how it looks like pictorially, and you can see the points here. So let's go to some other point somewhere else, like here in Lake Victoria. Yeah, so there's somebody called Kenyatta Mongare who uploaded this, and it's Mwanza, they're calling it Mwanza City in Tanzania. Yeah, so it's similar to what we did, we added, okay? So let me just zoom in. You'll notice I created a point for Bujumbura. Let me click Bujumbura, and you'll notice that it shows two images. So one image, I'm sure, is somebody who added it, somebody else. Then the other one is the point that our picture that we added. So let's click on one of the points. If you click on Bujumbura, you just click on it, it splits it into two points. So you notice there is one point here. And this is for somebody who uploaded some church, but is still under this Bujumbura. Then the other point is the one that we created. I don't know where it is. Yeah, this is ours, the one that we created. Yeah, so let's right click on any of our points that is on the images. So I'll just disable this here. Can disable the photos. And then I will right click this Bujumbura, for example. And then there is this option I was talking about called directions from here. So we have directions from here. Then let's click on Kigali, then you say directions to here. Okay. And then you notice that Google Earth has drawn a path. It has drawn a path from Bujumbura to Kigali in Rwanda. From Bujumbura in Burundi to Kigali in Rwanda. So let me repeat that. Let me clear my search. You'll notice that even the search has coordinates. So we can remove that, and I want to clear this history. Clear. So I've cleared the history. So let me zoom out. So let me identify, let me use some points that actually far from the points that we are using, okay? So what can I do? I can search. Remember our search? So we can search for, let's say, Cairo, which is in Egypt. Cairo. Sorry, my typing, I have a typing error. So Cairo, which is in Egypt. I'll just click that and then search. And then it will zoom into Cairo in Egypt. So I want to find the route, you know, the route from Cairo in Egypt to Nairobi in Kenya, for example. So I'll right click here in Cairo. You can right click and then directions from here. Okay. So notice that it has added itself in the search. Something has added itself. There is from Cairo Governorate, Egypt. So I can just zoom out manually and then come into Nairobi. Look for Nairobi, then we have Nairobi here. So I can use my point, which is NBO. So I'll just right click it's not showing. Let me just right click somewhere here. I don't know why. So let me right click on the I'm trying to right click on any of these points. Oh yeah, I need to right click on the point. So you right click on the point itself, not the label, not the name. So if you right click on the point, like for Nairobi, you can click directions to here. Okay. And then you give Google some time. It will show the path. So it shows, one thing you'll notice is that it shows the path using there are things that have appeared here in the search. Let me expand this search. So you'll notice that it is saying point A, point B. So point A is Cairo Governorate, point B is Harambee Avenue in Nairobi, Kenya. So it shows the distance, and in this case, it is showing by car, how much distance it is by car, and how much time, estimated time you will take. So it is 5,122 kilometers, which will take you 98 hours. So you can adjust, you can click the mode of transit. So if you have used something like Google Maps, we have something like this. It's similar, you know, if you want to check the navigation from one place to another. So I've clicked the bus. So by bus, let's see, by bus, it's gonna take us, okay, it has not shown really, but let's look for another one. What if you decide to walk? Let's see if, for example, those guys who go to the pilgrimage in Mecca, the Islam. So when they go to there, they walk for very long distances. So if you decide to walk from Cairo to Harambee, Cairo Governorate to Harambee Avenue in Nairobi, Kenya, you will still walk. It's more or less a similar distance, but you will take 988 hours. And then one thing you'll notice is that it is showing us directions. You see these directions, head southwest towards whatever. When you click on any, like number 1, it shows you the direction, and the direction is identified by a marker, and it zooms to that area. So this is very important because it can really help you to create a path, you know, a path of sorts. Yeah, then you can click on point number 2, slight right to El Wasla. Then you continue on to Ring Road. So this is when you are walking. I don't know why maybe they have not included they should be, maybe they could have included one for the aeroplane, or maybe for the aeroplane, it's a straight line. So let's go and click on the last point. So there are so many directions, 200, 300, 400, there are 629 directions. So let's click on the, let's see where Nairobi starts. So Nakuru, Holy Family or Dunga School, I don't know where this is. Let's just click on that and see. So you notice that Google Earth has moved, it's moving, it's panning itself onto the, panning to the location of this particular school. So there's a path, you see, and then you notice that there are yellow things. This is the path that you are using. These are the path. This is the path. Anywhere you see the yellow markers with the pause button, the pause icon. So this is where we have the, you know, we have the path. I've lost the path, so let me just zoom in somewhere here. Actually, we are coming through Mbale. I don't know where the path is from here. Yeah, so that is, you know, that is one of the ways you can check on your path. Then you can also change to the bicycle, and then Google will calculate the estimated time of arrival and the directions. So this is quite a cool, it's a cool tool that you can use for that. And Yeah, let's go back to the vehicle, the one that you're using, a car. Yeah, so we have used points that exist in the Google Earth. Let us use our own points. So let's use two examples. Let's say that you want to travel from, you intend to travel from Dar es Salaam to, or from Nairobi to Somalia. Yeah, from Nairobi to Somalia. So I can just right click on my marker. Note that this time I'm clicking on my marker, and then I'll click on directions from here, and the search will adjust itself. The search bar, you notice that we have from that coordinates titled NBO. So I'll also right click into Mogadishu point, and then I'll click directions to here. And then let's see, Google will calculate, and you've seen that it has drawn, in this case, it has drawn a path for the directions from Nairobi to Nairobi in Kenya to Mogadishu in Somalia. So you'll pass through some town here, Garissa, Dadaab, Afmado, Barawe, and these other town that I cannot pronounce its name. You know, it's Kroyole, and then it will go all the way into Mogadishu. So it shows the class of the road, which is A3. And then it shows the direction, the distance, which is 1,181 kilometers. And then it also shows how many hours you're going to take if you're using a vehicle. So you're going to take 20 hours, 5 minutes. So that is the ETA, the estimated time of arrival, or the time that it's going to take to move from that point to the other point. So what you can also do, you can, I believe you can save these directions somewhere. Let's see, not sure, but there's somewhere you can use to save the directions. I wanted us to save these directions. Let's see if you click get directions. Yeah, so from point A, you can, I think you can click your point. Not sure though. So let's say point A is Nairobi, so you can type it, Nairobi. Then point B is, let's actually use 3 points, Nairobi. I'm not sure if you can add some 3 points, but let's put B as Mogadishu, and then get directions. Yeah, so it's more or less the same. Yeah, so it is saying copy the current search results to my place. So you can use that. Then there's also another, there are small labels that appear below these many directions here. There's some 3 buttons. There's one for copying the current search results to my places. There's another one for copying the current search results to clipboard as a KML file. There's also another one that is you can print the current search results. So we'll just save, let's copy the current search. You click the first icon that looks like a download button. So if you click on it, what will happen is that, let me just scroll or increase this. You'll notice that under my places, we should be having something. And it is this, A3, it's calling itself A3. So this is the path from Nairobi. Okay, it's saying no name, but if you click on no name, it's showing it is NBO, and the other one is this other one. Okay. So let's create another one. Let's search one for from Khartoum to Juba. So let's right click on Khartoum and click directions from here. And then we right click here and add directions to here. So from point A to point B. Then Google will do the Google Earth will do the rest. The map shows the path. So I can just save this path into my sightseeing. However, I think it is saving the straight path, but we shall see that later. So we have added 2 paths. We have added our path A3. The other one has no name. Oh, but actually this one is a route. The other one is some kind of a direction of sorts. So what we are going to do, we are going to add this inside Google Earth training. just as they are. We'll add the A3, but we can rename it. Let's rename it to the first one, which is NBO2. I've added an underscore to Cairo. So I'll just call it CRO. Then the second one, I'll add it from Khartoum to Juba. So in the properties, I'll rename this to KTM2 underscore JB. Then I'll click OK. And then having done that, I'll drag and drop this inside my Google Earth training folder. So now my Google Earth training folder has the KTM, JB, and BOCRO. It has Rivatana, Takwel, and all these other points that we created. So we can clear the histories by clicking on history, and I think there's somewhere where there's clear history. So I will just go back to my places. So yeah, so that's what we have. Now that's how you can create a walk, like a route or a direction from one point to another. I think as of now it supports two from one point to the other, and start point and an end point. So that is how you can create your routes. So let me take us back to the slides. So yeah, so we're back to our slides. So you have been able to create the walk route or walk or drive using the bus or cycling also. It's also included there. So you can use it to get from one direction into another. Okay, so you can test it even using a small area, like from within a country or within a city. Yeah, so let's scroll down. So our final steps will be to export and importing data. And in this case, we'll be using the QGIS. So this is a demonstration for the interoperability between the Google Earth and something like QGIS, okay? And any other software that can read, as long as the GIS software can read what you call the KML, keyhole markup language, then you're good to go. So QGIS supports keyhole markup language, the KML and KMZ or KMZ. So let's see how we can do that. Then, yeah, we can look at those links for further reading. So these will be our final steps for this session. So let's quickly move into our computer. And the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to, let me share back our Google, let me reshare the Google user interface. Or Google Earth rather. So we have the Google Earth. And you'll notice that my places, I do not have things here because they are all saved inside my places. So I'll just collapse my places. And you'll notice that I've added everything into our Google Earth training folder. So this is what I would like us to do. If you have created any points, put them in one single folder. Create a folder by right-clicking my places, add folder, then you can name your folder to whatever name you want. And then you can add all your points. So like my case, I've added all the points inside this folder for Google Earth training. So since everything is under Google Earth training, I can right click and I can save place as. Okay. So there are two things I want us to note here. If I right click a single point or a single feature that is not in a folder, okay? For example, if I right click on NBO for Nairobi, if I right click and click on save place as, I invite you to do that. a single feature, like a pin, point. You'll notice that my extension is KMZ. Can you see my extension? I mean, there is an option for KML. There's KMZ, but there's also option for KML. Can you see my file dialog? So there's this, you can save your point as KML or KMZ. So let me save NBO alone. I will save it as a KML. And we are going to look at it in the folder. So I've exported one point as a KML. So let us look at the second point, the second item. So we'll export the whole folder for Google Earth training and right click on it and save place as. So you'll, for this one, you will save it as KMZ. KMZ is so many, when you have many shape files, you can add them as a KMZ. It's a zipped kind of a KML, zipped KML keyhole markup file that has so many KMLs inside because you have very many layers. So we'll save this one as KMZ. So once you have done that, then we are going to navigate into our desktop. So let's see, let me share my entire screen. So I believe that you can see my desktop. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm going to open QGIS. Yeah, so I've opened my QGIS, and the first item what I'm going to do, I'm just going to import my layer. So remember, we've been doing this severally since we started. So you'll just right click on layer. I mean, you just click on layer, sorry. Left click layer, menu on the menu bar at the top, then open the data source manager. So this data source manager is what you normally use to import your data into from different formats. Okay, so we are going to import, there are vector layers. Okay, so we'll ensure that we have vector. By default, you may have browsers. We don't want to use browser, we want to use vector. So you click on vector on the side, which is the second option. Then you'll click, there's this source, and the source you have vector data. So ensure that the source type is file, not directory, not database, not protocol, but vector dataset. So you'll click on this button. There's this button that we have been seeing all along that has 3 dots. That is, it's called the browse button. It is a browse button. So let's click on the browse button. And when you click on it, it takes us to the file system. So wherever you have saved your files, the KML at KMZ, that's where you're going to point these folder onto. So I have it in data. So I have a KMZ file and a KML file. This is how they look like in the Windows system. Yeah, this is how they look like. They have the Google Earth Pro logo. Then let's start with the NBO. So we'll click on NBO and then we open, and then we add, then we close. So do you see this NBO? It is a point. It has displayed as a point. Let me just open the OpenStreetMap. Yeah, you will notice that I think the OpenStreetMap is taking some time. So let me zoom to the point. You notice that our point appears in Nairobi. Okay. This point appears in Nairobi, somewhere in the center of Nairobi. Then you can right click on it and let's look at the attribute table. So the attribute table consists of the name. Remember, we had a description. And in this description, you'll notice that we have, let me expand it. It has some kind of a HTML. Okay, it's not really very visible. Yeah, let me expand it. Now, this is what we have. So we have the image URL as part of the attributes, and then we have, this is the capital city. This is the information that we typed in, if you remember. So let me return to the attribute table. Yeah, so this is what we have: description, timestamp, visibility, extrude, and all of those items. Okay. Yeah, so basically the only thing we have is the name and the description, because that's what we input, and the description includes the link. So this is a link to that image, external image. So we'll just close that. So this KML file, you can also export it. You can also export it, save features, you can call them, you can save it as an S3 shapefile, and you can save it as, let me just call it NBO. So it will be a shapefile for Nairobi, which is NBO. And now if we right click on this and check the properties, we'll see that under information we have, this is an S3 shapefile. However, the other one, if you look at the properties, we have it as libkml. Okay. It's a keyhole markup language file. Okay, so we can close that, and the next thing we can do, we can try and save or rather load our other items. So let me clear this. Let me remove the NBO. So let's add the other layers, which will be the ones that are in that. We'll use the data source manager. And in this case, we'll click on Google Earth training. And then we'll add it onto our map. So you'll notice that it is detecting that it has point, line string, point, line string, point, point, point. So it takes each feature as it is. And then you'll notice that you have something else here, Google Earth training 11, and all that. So let's just add everything first, then we can click OK, and then we can click that. Yeah, so it has added. So you will notice that we have the points that we digitized. We have Lake Victoria, we have Lake Albert, we have Lake Kivu, and then we also have Lake Turkana. And then we also have some points here. So let's just right click and open the first one and see what it contains. We open the attribute table. So this one contains a total of 36 features. So this is the directions. These are directions. So these, when you ask Google, for example, the Google Maps in your mobile or in your browser where you want to go, you probably want to go from some place like Nairobi to, to Kampala in Uganda, from Nairobi, Kenya to Kampala in Uganda. So this is what it does in the background. Okay, it kind of creates some attributes in the server, and then all these have a point, they have a coordinate. So let me right click the first item in the attribute table and zoom to feature. So when I zoom to feature, it zooms to this first feature, and if I zoom to the second feature, it continues. So if I zoom to this other feature, it also moves to that feature. Then if I continue, I zoom to another feature, I believe here, this way in Somalia. So this for the point from Nairobi to Mogadishu. Yeah, so that's what we have here. So these are direction file. Then let's see what this other one is, the third file. So, yes, so it is also a directions file. So let me zoom to feature and see where it's taking me. So it has taken me somewhere in Khartoum, still in Khartoum. And let's check, let's zoom into some other point. See where this is. This is in somewhere between the North Sudan and South Sudan, an area called Abyei. So yeah, so that is it. So this is also a directions file. Let us look at the layer 3 here and zoom into it. So let's see what layer 3 is by looking at the attribute table. So this is a route. Yeah, the straight route. So the points here make up the route, the other route. And I think we can, to be able to distinguish these things, let's change the labels quickly. Let's change the label symbology. So I'll put these as let me use a blue dot, big blue dots. Yeah, so these are, I know that this is a route. Then let me zoom into this other one. This is the line, so let me symbolize it also. We need to distinguish these. So I'll also add a simple blue line. Yeah, so that is the route. And then I will go to the other one, change the label. So similarly, I'll use the blue dot and click OK. So this is in the from Juba to Khartoum. So I'll also change the symbology for this other one. I'll add a blue dot, a blue line rather. So do you see these are the routes that we created? Then let's zoom to this other one. Yeah, so these are the, I think these are the points. Let's look at this other one. Let's zoom into this. So this is the green line. So let's change its symbology to also reflect that. So I'll add this as a dashed blue dotted line. So this is a straight path. Yeah, so that is a straight path. Then I will navigate to this. Let me zoom to this layer. This is a straight path between Nairobi to Mogadishu. So I'll also symbolize it and add the dotted lines. So this is what we have. The dotted lines represent the straight path. Then you can zoom to this point. This is NBO to CRO, Nairobi to Cairo. Although this one I do not see it. I think this is just a point. Let me look at the attribute table. Yeah, there are 2 points, Nairobi and Cairo, I believe. Yeah, so we have Google Earth training. Let's see what this is. Let's see the attribute table. Yeah, so these are the towns. So these towns, I'm going to symbolize them with a different symbol. I know they are the capitals. Maybe I can add them with a dark shade of red. Then I'll apply. Notice that we have big points now for those capitals. Then for the, I don't know what this is, let me check it out. Tana River and River Takwel. So I know these are rivers, so I can use some symbology to represent the rivers. So I can check river, or I can search for water. Okay, I'm sure if, yeah, so I'll use this topo hydro, but I'll change the blue to some shade of that looks like that, and then I'll click apply. And you notice that we have the Takwel and the Tana River. And then for the lakes, these are the lakes. We can also add some color here. Click OK, and then you can apply. And those are our lakes. And finally, and then we can remove our OpenStreetMap, or we can equally leave it. Yeah, so this is the layer from the Google Earth into QGIS. So this is how they look like. Yeah, so I'm going to share, once we conclude, I'm going to share these points or these layers with you through the chat. So that is how you can load your layer. So let me save these projectors. Interrupt. So save it that way. Then let me clear this project. And I'm going to open a some layer that we've been working on. So data source manager will open some shapefile that we were using in our previous sessions. So I will open Africa Prov Index shapefile, and I will add it into my QGIS, and then I'm going to export it. So I'll export it as what? As KML. So we have among the options, we have keyhole markup language, file name. We'll just call it to KML. I'll click enter. Then I'm going to save it. So I have transformed it to KML. So let me exit, let me minimize the QGIS, go back to my desktop and open the Google Earth. So let's see what happens. We will add this layer into our Google Earth. So let me disable these, even my places. And I'll also disable the primary database so that we have this continent of Africa. So let me file open. So I want to open the KML that is inside the file that we were using. So I have this to KML. So I'm going to open it, and you'll notice that it has opened the countries that are draped onto Africa. Okay. Then I can also look at, check the properties. I can change. Yeah, so I've changed it to white, and you notice that it has changed. It looks funny. Then the width, I can put the width to 2. I click OK. So you see, this is a map of Africa that we loaded from our QGIS. And this is, we have exported it from QGIS into the, so this is how it looks in QGIS. And this is how it looks in the Google Earth. So do you see the, it's more or less a similar, same kind of thing. So you notice that it has all, it has, you know, it's like a folder it has created. It has many features inside it. Okay. So yeah, so we have that as our, so this is our items. And this brings us to the conclusion of our last tasks in using the Google Earth, exporting and importing. So we have demonstrated the capability. You can even do an importation into PostGIS directly, but those are some of the advanced tasks. So yeah, for further reference, you can refer to google.com/earth/outreach-learn. You can also refer to the earth.google studio documentation. So let me open these links. Let me also open the other link. Yeah, so this is what we have. If you want to read more about Google Earth, you can refer to this link. So I'm also going to share the links once you have completed, and you can also check. There are a lot of things you can do with the Google Earth. So this is on the further reading. Yeah, so I don't know if there are any questions, please feel free to ask, or any points of clarification. Otherwise, we have concluded our tasks in using the Google Earth, Google Earth Pro, or the Google Earth software. So it is a good tool that is open source. It comes in handy for digitization, for visualization, and many other things. You can also attach photos to your places. Yeah, so this brings us to the end of this session. And thank you for your participation. Thank you for sharing the screenshots for your tasks, for your outputs in various steps that you are doing. And at this point, I would like to wish you a good afternoon and a good weekend. Thank you. And goodbye.